Most people spend their days running from death as if it were some terrible intruder. Yet I would like to suggest something rather curious. Death is not the end of life's story. It is the frame around the picture. Without it, the image makes no sense. Death is the mirror that shows you life, not because it destroys. Imagine for a moment that you were given an eternity to live, an endless stretch of days without limit or consequence. At first, you might find that idea comforting, but very soon you would notice something strange. Without an ending, there is no urgency, no taste, no sparkle. Life becomes like a song that never reaches its final note. It flattens. It loses meaning. The whole beauty of music depends on its silence, on the pauses, on the fact that it ends. Death plays the same role in the symphony of existence. It is not the enemy of life. It is its essential partner. You see, human beings spend an enormous amount of energy trying to secure themselves against the inevitable. But the more you cling to permanence, the more rigid you become. And rigidity is the one thing life cannot tolerate. Life is movement. It is breath, ebb, flow, contraction, expansion. To be alive is to dance with uncertainty. Yet we try to turn this dance into a march. Death whispers something very simple. Pay attention. This moment will not return. This breath is unique. This passing glance, this sunrise, this laughter, this tear, this touch on your shoulder, they are here only once. When you truly feel that, you stop sleepwalking through your days. You begin to notice, to listen, to feel. You taste your tea instead of gulping it down. You look into another person's eyes and suddenly recognize a whole universe staring back at you. But of course, this is precisely what frightens us. If every moment is unrepeatable, then every moment is vulnerable. And we have been raised to fear vulnerability. Yet vulnerability is just another word for aliveness. A flower is vulnerable. A newborn child is vulnerable. The sky at dawn is vulnerable. All beauty is vulnerable because it does not last. And rather than lament this fact, one could bow to it as one bows to a great teacher. For death teaches us how to live by showing us what cannot be kept. There is a marvelous paradox here. When you flee from death, you also flee from life. But when you look at death directly, when you allow the fact of your impermanence to sit beside you like an old friend, the world reveals a depth you had forgotten. You begin to feel the pulse of things, the subtle shimmering of existence. It is as if you had been walking through life wearing thick gloves, and suddenly you remove them and feel the textures of everything again. The ego does not like this. The ego prefers the illusion of control, the fantasy that life should bend to its preferences. It is constantly drawing lines, setting boundaries, building walls, inventing stories about how things should be. But life is wonderfully indifferent to those stories. It rises, falls, flows and dissolves without the slightest regard for our opinions. Death is the reminder that the ego is not the one in charge. And strangely enough, this realization is not depressing at all. It is liberating. Because when you stop trying to control the entire universe, you can finally participate in it. Take a moment now. Really, wherever you are, notice the sounds around you. The feeling of your breath entering and leaving your chest. Notice how everything is in motion. Even the stillness is moving. The floor beneath you will one day crumble. The body you inhabit will one day return to the earth. And far from being a tragic fact, this is what makes your existence precious beyond measure. It is precisely because time is limited that life becomes luminous. Death is not lurking in the shadows waiting to ambush you. It is woven into the very fabric of your being. Every exhale is a tiny death. Every ending, every goodbye, every sleepless night when something old within you falls away. You have died many times already, and each time you were reborn as someone slightly different. So perhaps death is not the opposite of life after all. Perhaps death is the quiet companion walking beside you, reminding you to wake up. And when you begin to see death in this way, not as a thief but as a mirror, something extraordinary happens. Life stops being a problem to solve. It becomes an experience to participate in. The fear that once gnawed at you begins to loosen. Not because you now understand everything, but because you finally stop demanding that it all makes sense. The river never explains why it flows. The wind never justifies its direction. They simply move as they must. And so do you. But let us look more deeply at this mirror. What exactly does it show you? It shows you that nothing you cling to can stay. Not your youth, not your plans, not your certainties. Even the person you think you are is changing moment by moment. So the fear of death is, in many ways, the fear of letting go of an identity that was never concrete to begin with. You might say that death is the great dissolver of illusions. It strips away the costumes, the masks, the roles you have spent so many years perfecting. And beneath all of that, what remains? Something astonishingly simple. A presence, a witness, a field of awareness that is not born and does not die, yet expresses itself in 1,000 fleeting forms. This is why the ancients spoke of life as a dream. Not to dismiss it, but to sanctify it. A dream is precious precisely because it vanishes. You do not cling to a dream as it slips away in the morning light. You simply wake up. And waking up is not an act of force. It is an act of recognition. Death invites you to recognize the dreamlike nature of your own existence. Not so that you withdraw from it, but so that you engage with it fully and lovingly, knowing how brief it is. Consider for a moment how differently you might live if you carried this awareness with you everywhere. your arguments would soften. Your grudges would lose their bitterness. You would look at the people you love and realize that you are witnessing something exquisitely temporary and therefore exquisitely beautiful. Even your own flaws would appear differently. Instead of seeing them as burdens, you might see them as peculiar brushstrokes in the painting of your life. Strokes that will never appear again in quite the same way. Death, then, is a profound teacher. And like all great teachers, it does not speak in lectures. It speaks in silence. In the hush of a hospital corridor. In the stillness after a final breath. In the quiet recognition that today might be your last chance to say thank you, or sorry, or I love you. Death brings you back to what matters. Not achievements, not possessions, not the endless parade of things you think you must accomplish before your time runs out. What matters is the quality of your presence while you are here. And here is a curious discovery. When you accept death, life becomes remarkably playful. You stop taking yourself so seriously. You laugh more freely. You love without the tightness of expectation. You become like a dancer who finally understands that the point of the dance is not to reach the end of the floor, but simply to move, to sway, to feel the music as it rises and falls. To live is to dance in the arms of impermanence. So let death stand beside you, not as an executioner, but as a guide. Let it remind you that every sunrise you witness is a gift you did nothing to earn. Let it whisper that your existence is as fragile as a soap bubble floating through a summer afternoon, shimmering with colours that appear only once. And because they appear only once, they are sacred. If you listen closely, death does not tell you to run. It tells you to open, to breathe more deeply, to forgive more quickly, to feel the pulse of this moment as if it were the first and last moment you will ever have, because in a sense, it is. Each moment is born and dies in an instant. And if you can meet that reality with grace, then life reveals a gentleness that was always there, waiting beneath your resistance. So sit with me for just a breath longer. Imagine, if you will, that all of existence is a vast mirror. On one side is life, vibrant, shimmering, full of motion. On the other side is death, still, silent, unchanging. And you stand between them, seeing your reflection from both directions. What you call life is simply awareness moving through form. What you call death is awareness returning to its own depth. There is no conflict, only a rhythm, a tide, a great breathing in and out. When you finally understand this, the fear that once clouded your vision fades like mist in the morning sun. You discover a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a peace that arises from knowing that nothing is truly lost, because nothing was ever truly separate. Death is the mirror that shows you life, and life is the dance that reveals what you truly are. Let this understanding settle into you like evening light, soft, quiet, effortless. Let it guide the way you walk through the rest of your days, not with urgency, not with dread, but with the calm wonder of someone who has glimpsed the truth behind the curtain. Someone who knows that every moment is a miracle, simply because it is impermanent. Breathe. Notice the space around you. Notice the silence within you. This is where life and death meet, and in that meeting, you are whole.